Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this week's Access Denied. We hope everybody is doing well right now. It is Hump Day on Wednesday. We got a lot of topics to talk about. We got our special guest back, and Mr. Torvis Gardner, who's making his way in. But go on and check in. Let us know you here. Drop us a comment. Like I said, we got a lot of good things to talk about as we talk about public education, not only on the local level with metro schools, but on the state level as well as the federal level. Let's see. And how you doing today, Torvis?
I'm doing all right. Can you hear me?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Doing all right. School's almost out, and everybody finishing up different things, different projects. Kids graduating, so it's just like going on education as usual.
Yeah, we got a lot. I mean, we got when we think about graduations coming at the end of May, we think about TN ready finally being over, and some people are still doing a couple of tests. Either after that, we think about the prom, the school dances, but we also think about and talk about the budget, which is being debated as we think about local education dollars. We think about the community, our families, and the fellowship who are going through right now. I see Miss Kimberly is joining in. I got Jordan joining in. Thank you guys for jumping in. Continue to come in and let us know you're here. But some great things happening. But, first, just before we get started, as I see Miss Smith and Jordan, what are some of the best things that's happened to you this week? Like, let us know. And then we'll get right into the business of local and state education. All righty, all righty. And with that, the first thing that we do want to go into, and we have some potential special guests that are going to be coming, and we're going to use this as a speaker series, but a lot of times we're in a deficit. We have just had people come right from the community and do things to benefit the community. And one of the programs that one of our organizers had her son in was Freedom School. And so just know on our speaker series at the end of May is something that we want to talk about with families, some special programming. We want to hear what are other programs that may be out there. But the Freedom School is a free summer program, summer enrichment program reserved for students who are in school. It gives them the ability, not only to have fun because it's the summer, but also that academic enrichment when we think about learning loss and we think about the pandemic of being out of school. Freedom School is making its return back because it's such a demand and such a need, and look forward to talking to them about it as we finish off the end of the month for our speaker series. I think it'll definitely benefit a lot of families. I see Jordan saying, an opportunity for an increase at work. There you go. We all need that. Miss Smith says, yep, a pay raise. Yep. I think you guys are on the same page. Yeah. And one of the things that we'll talk about today as we talk about the MNPS budget, last year was 1.3 when you looked at all the COVID money. This year starting at 1.1 before the council deliberates. And so we do want to spend a little bit of time breaking that down because as Jordan and Kimberly talk about, a raise and an increase, that is something that's definitely on the mind of a lot of people who have been working with MNPS for years, whether it's nutrition services, bus drivers, bus monitors, paraprofessionals, and any other support staff that they might have in the school. And so thank you guys for offering that because that is a huge topic of discussion right now. Torvis, what about you? What's on your mind?
It's really just like the end of the school year. Different things are going on in the school year. We got some kids that go to college, and different things like that. So it's like it's a busy time for some people, and the other times it's like where they gonna go? Are they gonna go to Thompson Scholar? Are they gonna be in a summer camp? So it's really some decisions that has to be made for as parents with school being out.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. And so one of the things that I'll tell you, man, we had the ability to canvas a community, and if you're listening, you know, if you have history with this community, but it was the Fallbrook community this past weekend or maybe the weekend before. And what we realized canvassing in that community, that's, you know, essentially in the heart of Nashville. When I say the heart of Nashville, it's 7 to 8 minutes from downtown, you know, and it's roughly over 100 families who live in that community. And you just realize that even though it's 8 minutes from downtown to its city, you know, those parents, those families, those kids don't even have a playground because it's a war zone. And as we think about the work that we do at Propel and how our parents chime in and support what we do, I just wanted to reflect on what do we think makes our community better? Because, like I said, being at Fallbrook or Delaware, whatever you want to call it, depends on if you're a Nashville native. But what are things that we can do to really make sure that Black, brown, and poor people don't have to live and go through that, not only by themselves, but with like hand in hand with their kids? And Miss Moffin is jumping in. You know, she said she lived there for 3 years. I mean, it was really, you know, the great thing is, you know, canvassing birds were chirping when we got there. You know, families outside, you know, people going to wash, people running errands on a Saturday. And then in the blink of an eye, you know, things turned really different. And again, like if we're trying to get to the root of the problem, right? It's like pulling out weeds, right? Like you can pull a weed out if you pull it out by the stem, but if you don't pull it out by the root, it's just gonna grow back. And so what do we think the root of the problem is when we have issues, whether it's, you know, Dale Way or whether it's Dodge City or JCUC, or, you know, Edge Hill? What can we do? That's the big question that we're looking for. What are you thinking, Torvis?
I mean, it's all gonna be education part of it, really, to be honest with you. They don't have the education, they don't make the good decisions. Even with the fact that you see now, you see more and more guns and stuff in schools. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's all across district with the guns in schools, situation with guns in schools. But it's like people have to survive. When we get to this point, people are just doing what they can survive. I mean, you have to
Mm-hmm.
look at the issue of why a child breaking the gun in school. They're being bullied. Because something happened, just don't wake up in the morning to go find the gun to bring it to school. So you got to look at the underlying reason why what's going on.
Yeah, yeah, and shout out for Miss Booker. I know she's doing her work in the community. She says good morning. We see Jarvis jumping in, saying good morning, and that he's chimed in. And thank you for that, Jarvis. I think Jarvis was maybe cohort 11, class 11, or class, yeah, class 10 or class 11. So thank you, Jarvis, for jumping back in. But yeah, that's been the topic of discussion as we even think about like where do we go? Like as Nashville continues to grow, like one thing that we love, you know, we love the it city, but one thing that we realize being in this it city, like it's not the it for us. And we think about what are some of the things that as we get ready to start the new year, right? Like what are some of the things that we can do collectively together as a community to help stop that? You know, we got a couple of ideas, but want to hear from you guys. And let's see. Yep, Thomas is in saying morning. Good morning, Thomas. And we didn't see you backstage, Thomas. So try again so we can get you on in. But as we wait on Thomas, one of the things that I want to go through, I want to go through our first article of the day, as we have this conversation. And I'm gonna tell you the good thing is, you know, TSU, Tennessee State University, go Big Blue, had their graduation this past Saturday. Well, they had one on Friday and they had one on Saturday. On Friday, they had the mayor from Birmingham, who, you know, still in 2022, we got the first, but he was the first African American mayor for the city. And then the second day, they brought out even bigger guns. They brought out none other than Vice President Kamala Harris, who served as a keynote. And you could tell the excitement was there, the students were there, but I wanted to highlight this a little bit just to show you guys like the joy and just the festivities that were going on to have, America's vice president, in your backyard. And so I'm gonna blow this up just a little bit, and then Torvis, you and I just go over and just kind of discuss, what some of these things really mean. So it says Vice President Kamala Harris told Tennessee State University class of 2022 that the world they are graduating into is unsettled, citing the war in Ukraine, long-term racial and class inequities exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic, and a threat to women's rights among the biggest challenges that the graduates will face. She said it is a world where long-established principles now rest on shaky ground. You graduate into an unsettled world, both abroad and here at home. And then I'm going to just go down, show you some of the pictures. She says Harris's appearance in Nashville came just days after news broke that the Supreme Court is on the verge of overturning the landmark Roe v. Wade. The address was at least the second time the vice president had commented on the political action. And just as we wrap this up, so like as you look at this, in the end, she says, as both a graduate and champion for HBCUs, let me go back. As both a graduate and a champion for HBCUs, the vice president also praised the education and experience students received at TSU. You see HBCUs like this, well, they are a cathedral of education, and the value of education is that it teaches you something very special, that you can do anything you can be anything and do anything. And then it marked her second speech as a second commencement address as vice president, but her first at an HBCU. And so we'll end it right there. And so as you saw, we went through the article, we read it. What are some of the things that just stood out for you, Torvis? And then we'll go through some comments because I see we got some good ones.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of people. There's a lot of people there. I guess the vice president was there, but a lot of people graduated, but they are coming into a world that's totally different, coming out of the pandemic. And even, it's just depending on what field they went into. But some of the fields, it's just different now. Everything is totally different. It's almost like being in kindergarten and starting to learn the ABCs on the computer, whereas we learn them directly in the line, whereas they learn them all over the place. So it's almost like so it is different. And like I said, HBCUs, there's a lot of different things going on with TSU. The money they was talking about, and even the facility part of it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm glad it was a good turnout. It turned out good. And congratulations to all the people who graduated.
Yeah, man. Just the joy. One of the questions we asked earlier, what are some of the things that we need, as we think about the budget? And Ms. Moffin chimes in. She says more mentors. Ms. Booker says, I would love to work with any community this summer doing a week-long learning program in each area. I tried to reach out to MDA, hasn't been that much success. So if anybody has suggestions, let her know. Please, if you do have suggestions, please, post it on here, reach out directly to Shamice or reach out directly to us. Those are things that we needed. Same resources that the privileged people get. I love that. Kimberly says, we have to stay involved, try to attend as many neighborhood meetings as possible, let our voices be heard. So taking our voices right to the decision makers. Jarvis says, I think more parents can get involved in the IEPs that aren't aware and don't know a lot of things and about how to make sure kids get all the resources and help their kids in education. Okay, I see you, Jarvis, on that. And then he comes back and says, okay, Torvis, it says you assisted in with helping a few parents with the IEP meetings and a lot more parents. And so, yeah, so it's definitely a lot of parents have things that we think we need. I think, as we highlight Ms. Booker and we highlight what I want to say it was Ms. Moffin said, like, man, how do we get people together? And Torvis, as I think about that, it's almost around, some of the work that we're going to be doing in the coming months, maybe even connecting them with that.
Yeah, that is an ongoing issue.
Yeah.
Um, it's just the fact I talked to a lady yesterday. She took her child to a school and had an IEP and never had a meeting. She don't know what the IEP is. Went to a meeting before and asked the child, "What is the IEP?" The kids don't even know what the IEP is, so they're not
Mm,
gonna know what they're supposed to get. So the kids don't know, the parents don't know, nobody know what they really supposed to be getting. I mean, this is like if you go to McDonald's, you get a Big Mac, you're expecting a Big Mac. You're
right.
expecting the lettuce, the little secret sauce and all this type of stuff. But if you never had, you never know what you're supposed to be getting. You don't know what you're
Right.
supposed to get. So it starts with just educating the people on what IP is, even just the kids. But they come home and say, "Well, I didn't have a parent with me, or I got a letter recognition problem. They gave me a test, knowing I
Yep.
can't see it." So I think it has to start with that, with educating yourself on what you're supposed to get, because you don't know what you don't know.
Yep. So you don't know what you don't know. And Miss Moffin says exactly. I learned my ABCs by writing them 3 times and having devoted teachers that would not stop until you got it. And Torvis, you getting all the highlights on here. I don't know who you paying, but Thomas says Torvis helped me get suspension, an IEP overturned at Haynes Middle School. And that's just the work. And so, that's why I'm glad you're on here today, because it's clear like the more we work together, the better we can do. I'm trying to figure out and see who's interested. Like, what just keeps standing out. And I heard good things about Miss Booker's work, but like, how do we dig right into the community when we look at some of our schools and, less than 5% of them are reading on grade level at school. And, we have an opportunity for promising scholars, but we also heard that attendance is low. Like, how do we reach directly to the parents that need the most help? We talking about River Chase. I read in the news that they're going to be moving out shortly, and they are working with the new developer to try to figure out like what does that look like. Is that a stipend to help them find somewhere? Is it another apartment complex that they may own that they can temporarily stay in? Is it just digging deep and trying to stay actually in there? But those are the
I think
things that we think through.
I think that people know that education is important, especially for their child, but then you have so many different things stacked against you. Like you just said, I know my child education is important, but I got to find out where my child's gonna live. Where's my
Hmm.
child? I got to go to work to feed my child. So it's
Yeah.
just so many different aspects. Just with Nashville being the and they moving people around, building houses and stuff everywhere, and they're outpricing the people and the jobs. So it
Yeah.
is important. So it's one of the things that I always said. You always want to. I'm gonna speak up for your child.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna wait till they come on my doorstep, because you wait around long enough, it is gonna come to somebody in your family doorstep. So you have to speak out from the get go and let them know I'm not taking it. Because if I smack you to take your lunch money today, you don't do nothing about it. I'm gonna do it again tomorrow. So I'm just
Yep.
gonna keep going until you do something about it. So I'm thinking this: everybody got to fight for each other's child. That's how I look at it. I look at it as it's gonna be my child next.
Right. If we don't do anything right now, coming up. So, as we think about tutoring, Yvonne says tutoring, is it transportation? Is it a location? Ms. Johnson, that's something that, we're just speaking out loud about, like manifesting and putting it out there to see if there's interest, and then helping develop that. But right now, it's a spark that started right here. We're trying to see, can we turn it into a campfire so everybody can get warm. And then Ms. Moffin says, $500 is not enough to move your family, let alone yourself. And so, what do we think is happening in Nashville, and then how do we stop it? Right, like, because Ms. Moffin, I think, is referencing the fact that the new developers at River Chase are trying to help the people move, but they're gonna give them 500. I don't know how much. I don't know what that would do either, Miss Moffin. And I think it helps them sleep better at night. But yeah, when it comes down to where I'm gonna go, yeah, I don't think it helps.
What about the number of homeless kids already in the system? Even when they went to virtual learning, when they going, how they doing virtual learning? You don't even have an address, so you know you ain't got no Wi-Fi.
Right.
So, like I said, if you're gonna look at the problem or something, you look at the whole total part of it. I just pick and choose the part you want to do. The plan should be put together, or you should look at all aspects of it. And it also look at things that could go wrong with it. because everything. I mean, you look at the Lakers. Look at all these people on the team. On paper, they
Mm-hmm.
look good. They didn't make the playoffs because
Yep.
different things happen and different things go wrong. So even with the summer school thing, everybody always asks, "What did they get?" Some people saying it's just babysitting. Um,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of teachers done it. They got paid good. You know what I'm saying? So it's just whether they learn in the summertime. When are you going to see what the kids know and what they need to work on? Because if my child going to summer school and she have a problem with math, I think she should be concentrating on math in summer school, not PE or something like that. So we got to get to the point where we're going to stop the bleeding somewhere and see what the kids what they need to be on grade level. Once you find out what they need to be on grade level, then you can diagnose the problem. Then you can come with a solution with it. But if you never diagnose the problem, it's gonna keep on going.
Yeah. I mean, Yvonne says a couple things. She says voices move mountains and collective people will shift a system. And so right now we got a belief that one, it's nothing like seeing a kid in elementary school, even if they do live in a war zone, like happy, smiling, excited about coming to school. And there's nothing like seeing that joy just disappear in middle school because they're just aware of the circumstances that they're surrounded by. And, by high school, just losing our sense of community and all that joy that they had when they first started school. Um, yeah. So, Shamise, I'm a single mom and I understand it was hard then. Shamika's on here. Good morning, Shamika. Good morning. And then I agree, Tori's evaluations are needed. Yeah, and so I think with that, before we move on, we got to figure out, is it possible? I ain't gonna lie, like I know it's possible, but I think we got to show, everybody on this live stream knows it's possible because a lot of you guys are already doing work in the community. I think it's getting this message out to the general public to show, because people have just been beat down for so long, man. It was one of our, and I want to give my condolences. One of our parents in Propel, she lost her child over the weekend, to a 15-year-old young boy who will never be the same, and that mom, will never be the same. And I didn't want to say her name because I don't know if any of us have talked to her, but we gotta believe that something is possible to move something forward, and we just believe, like housing is super duper important, but education is also important because it serves as the equalizer. And so we got some ideas coming this summer. And Shamise, we're going to follow up with you because we think you can also help and be a part of that, of like showing what's possible to our parents. Yep, it is possible. Yeah, and definitely prayers for the family. It's just been so much destruction and death that's come our way in the last, 6 months. It is something to definitely take a step back on and
And I
and
think
try
it's
to figure out.
and I think the problem too is our kids are just coming immune to it. You know, we back in the day, somebody was shooting, we ran. These kids now just stand there like, okay, let's see what's going on. I'm gonna help the child. Had an issue with school, got out of school, but they were shooting at him. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? So it's like, okay, let me go out here and make sure you get off the bus safely or whatever. And the child was like, oh, I'm just gonna get my lick back. So if you think of the mindset, somebody shooting at you, you're like getting your lick back. I've heard that 2 or 3 times when it comes to shootings. It's like, I'm gonna get my lick back. Getting a lick back is if I hit you, I get my lick back and hit you back.
Right.
Getting a lick back is not
Right.
real bullets flying and shooting, and so it's like the kids are coming just like it's not shouldn't be like that with kids. It's just okay, everything's just okay, and that's bad.
Yeah. And so before we get into this next article, and I think this leads to it, Taurus, when you talk about getting your lick back. So, from the last 10 calls that we got, Torvis, what do you think are some of the top issues that parents are facing? Like when you think about the calls, you think about, I know bullying is one. What else?
IEP,
IEP, bullying, IEPs,
no communication.
no communication. Let's just keep the three. Bullying, IEPs, no communication. And so the last article that we'll go over today is a lawsuit where parents were like, essentially enough is enough. Well, I thought we was gonna read it, but we ain't because I ain't subscribed in. So that was only for subscribers. But when you think about bullying, because we just got a call this morning about it, what are some of the issues you think? And parents, feel free to chime in. Like, what are some of the top issues that you're facing in the school system? Is it bullying? Is it school communication? Is it IEPs? A combination or something else? And we'll leave a little time for parents to chime in. But we want to hear what are the issues that you would like to see addressed the most in our school system as we get ready to close out this year with all the fluff. We got graduations where we're going to be screaming and honking horns and parties, and then we got field day where kids are going to be running their little hearts out in the sun. We got proms and school dances. But what about the realness when we start back in August and we get ready for the next school year? What are some of the things that you think are most important? And Torvis, I'm going to let you lead it, and then I'm going to jump in.
Like I said, the number one thing is providing a safe environment for the kids. It's almost like we got kids together. So, and at your house, which is the school, you take care of them. And at my house, I take care of them. So it's like we co-parenting. They with you more than with me, really. And I'm paying you child support pretty much with the tax dollars. So I'm thinking that is the number one thing, which in turn goes to the bullying. The situation happening in the school, you can handle that situation. Something that's a riot or it ain't just boys being boys. Then you got to look at the bullying on just not the kids. You got to look at the teachers. We got a call this morning. Some kids can do some stuff, and it's the worst thing ever. The other kids get away with it. So you really prohibiting the bullying from this situation. And then that goes into the third problem, communication. When it happens, nobody never say anything about it. So all of them three kind of intertwine together, if you ask me. But this first thing is providing a safe environment, teaching the kids, and just doing what your job is, doing what you get paid for. John, are you talking?
So we got, teachers are not addressing the issue. I had several students say we tell the teacher, but she doesn't do anything. That's from Ms. Booker, hearing it from the source. Jarvis, kids bullying at Hunter's Lane, you know, I just had meetings up there with the principal and I showed her the videos of what kids are doing at our school. Let's see, Miss Moffin says the environment from staff to students is toxic, all capitalized. Self-awareness and self-love. These kids don't love themselves or aren't proud of themselves. So many guns inside our school. They got more gangs inside than. And then Joyce says the greed leads to lack of support in larger classrooms. Larger classrooms lead to teacher burnout. Teacher burnout leads to teachers with less emotional stability, which leads to less empathy for our children. Let's be real. And I think Ms. Gardner just said a mouthful. And when we think about the root, like that's what it's getting to. Like this is the root of it. The greed leads to lack of support. On the board yesterday, we were having a conversation, and it was a long conversation, but it was really around supporting our support staff. And it was almost like they were making us choose, do we support the support staff with a flat raise or percentage? Do we give more to cost of living adjustment? And man, it was a conversation, is needed because like I service nutritionists, paraprofessionals, like it is long overdue, and we have made them wait for so long that it's turned critical. When you talk about, George, when you talk about the lack of support in larger classrooms, and larger classrooms lead to teacher burnout, that's been what we experiencing. And then as Miss Booker, I think she was saying, you know, then that's when you just get, you know, disgruntled teachers who care deeply, because I'm gonna tell you, it ain't no way living in Nashville. Maybe if you were living in Chattanooga or Murfreesboro, but on that salary, it's no way you can be doing it. I used to say they were doing it for the money, but now when you look at the money, I mean, you can't. But then it's like these teachers are the last of the Mohicans, you know, because there's so many vacancies that you do have the larger classrooms, and then they just keep coming and it doesn't get better. And they probably like, shit, like F it. Like I'm tired of giving my all. And so that's why we got to come through, you guys. We got to come through, like, as we think about the Powerful Parent Network, because all of us are special and hardworking in our own sense, and we have the ability to do things right in our own communities. But what happens? You know, I had the pleasure to talk to Yvonne Johnson once. I had the pleasure to listen to Shamice as we strategize through some things. I watched Jarvis, and Jarvis says we need smaller classrooms. A lot of kids can't learn in large classrooms. And, you know, I done seen it both. I done seen bad teaching in small classrooms and good teaching in large classrooms. I think we got to I think where we're getting to, and I saw some of your comments, Jarvis, like what's the holistic approach, you know, whether it's the community, which they spend a lot of time in the community, they spend a lot of time at school, and they spend a lot of time at home. And so, you know, Kendall says exactly, the teachers were more concerned with my daughter's language that was used with having rocks thrown, and the boy only missed one day of school, and my daughter checked, you know, for her behavior. And so what we also realize when we think about guns and rocks, like safety is a huge priority. Um, Without safety, it's no way to learn. And Joyce says the sad thing is there's enough money to cover it all. And Joyce, I know where you're going on that, but if you can just break that down and let us know, like what do you mean, like there's more money? And then, you know, I'll wait for your comments and then I'll chime in. But anybody else feel free to chime in. Joyce says the sad thing is, you know, there's enough money to cover it all. Would love to hear what she means about that. And Jarvis says, I feel the kids should voice what they need. I think we need our kids' voice to be a part. Yes. How about the youth from a lot of schools unite and we push as well? Yep, we're getting some ideas. I'm telling you, we're getting some ideas. No, Torvis, you dropped off for a little bit. Just let me know when you're ready. And so one of the things that I just read, and I'll go back to the comment, I think it was from Ms. Gardner. She said the sad thing is that there is enough money to cover it all. And last night at the board meeting, is, you know, we were debating and discussing, you know, a $1.1 billion budget. Last year was 1.3. You know, people said that we should never say, you know, we have enough money. But I also think one of the board members said, you know, when we needed this new Titan Stadium, you know, they were able to find, you know, 500 million when we needed the baseball stadium. They were able to find the resources when we needed, you know, infrastructure and, you know, in communities that were not developed yet, but were coming. When we needed schools, the kids were not attending, that they were rebuilding. We found, you know, 300 plus million. And so when I see that comment from Joyce, I believe it too. You know, we just sent 40 billion over to Ukraine, which I think is definitely needed. It's a humanitarian issue. But when you think about the issues in war zones also in America, like you think about how do we have resources for a lot of other things like new stadiums and school buildings in new communities, but we don't have money for the basics. You know, we were taking money out the textbook fund, and I was still trying to understand that. But in order to like really give more meaningful raises to the majority of our people, And that was a lively debate. Like, do we take out the textbook fund? And I was like, man, the only thing I hear from parents on access denied is they ain't seen a textbook come home. And maybe it's changed. But yeah, like they were like, we ain't seen a textbook. And Yvonne says, I can say a lot of Black teachers are being railroaded into a lot. Those teachers that care, their voices are muzzled. Kendall says, exactly. Get a sit down with our kids and get it from the horse's mouth. And she says, Yvonne says, but look at Murfreesboro, who will soon get a 40% tax increase. The stadium's revenue won't go into those schools. And here we go. I mean, this is just, so we know it's an issue, right? And we were having this discussion on our organizing call. Someone was saying, well, reaching the parents, like parents are busy, man. Parents ain't got time to really dig deep and jump on this issue because they just trying to stay above water. They're trying to work, trying to pay for gas, trying to pay for the rent increases that are coming. And I said, man, that's right. Like, and I know we're not going to get 100, but what I told them, we're looking for 20. We're looking for 20 parents who may have to work 2 or 3 jobs, but still realize that we got to do something. Like when we think about the summertime and we think about the Freedom Summer, like what are we doing to really help out our kids? And it may not be 200 people, but again, 20. When you look at the 300, that story, and realize it was biblical, they had over 100,000 or close. And they were like, nope, the Lord spoke to them and said, nope, we just need 300. And those 300, went on to accomplish some big things because they were believing and they were all in. And so Nicole is on here saying, hey, Yvonne, she gonna inbox you. Don't inbox us all, Nicole. I know you're an organizer too. Like it's time to do some things. We got the campaign call coming up on the 17th. And as I look at everybody, I know Yvonne, you haven't gone through the fellowship, but Nicole, Joyce, Kendall, Jarvis, I think Miss Smith was up here. Jordan Majors was up here. Like the campaign call that we got next Tuesday. I see Miss Shamika Holt on here. Like Scott Hill is on here. Like next Tuesday from 6 to 7, we doing 1 hour. But listening to everybody on here, we have a semblance of a plan. We have direction. We have it organized. But I would love yeah, it's the internet, Nicole. We saw it. I'm sorry. Let me take that off, though. You move. Assassins moving silent. I see what you're doing. But we're gonna take an hour and we're gonna present an idea and a belief, and we want to get buy-in and see if this is a possibility that we can do something. And Joyce is just coming back and saying Metro is taking hundreds of thousands of dollars from charter schools for rent and keeping the money from the students. Where is all that money that was received for the pandemic? How much was it again, John? And it was close. Memphis got close to 500 million. I think we got somewhere close to 257 million. And they got 3 years to spend it. So let's say on average, you're looking at 70 to 80 million additional dollars a year. And I just remember someone reached out and said, hey, we didn't have enough money to transport some of our exceptional ed students to their jobs because they're doing like this co-op. And I was like, man, if we ain't got the money now, we ain't gonna never have the money. But literally, like, where does that go?
And that's extra money too, because they already had the billion. So they already had the budget. So there's extra money that came in, and it's like, okay, where is this money going? Because we're not seeing it transparent into the classroom. You can't throw money at a problem, but you got to start somewhere with this amount of money because you'll never have this much money again. You know what I'm saying? So I see they're having some program this summer for paid internship for kids, $15 an hour. So they putting programs stuff together here and there. But as far as like saying teachers for the IEPs and different things like that, or because they are the ones teaching our kids. These kids are being people that's going to take care of us later on in life. So you got to put the money on the front end to be able to prosper on the back end. So where's the plan of it? Uh, that's how you get the answer about the money, the budget. It's always we got the receipts, return them in later or whatever. Even when it came to their money, they went to the inheritance thing. I
Yep.
didn't bill didn't say nothing. $245,000 a month to train a trainee. How many people are you training? It was never really explained to anybody. It was just like just to train a trainee. I know on any job that I can't just $245,000. I can't just say, "Oh, I'm training a trainer." I got to show what the money went towards, what it went for. So you got to be accountable with the money, be transparent with the money.
Yep. But check out what Shamish is saying. I literally applied for a grant from the Bordeaux community and outlined the summer program, giving them statistics and the budget. The reply back was a denial that said, currently, your program isn't needed. I mean, they said it isn't needed. And it's not funny. It's almost like appalling. Like when someone says your program is not needed in 37208, and what communities is 37218? I know '08 is North Nashville. Is 18 kind of Bordeaux? And she was like, I couldn't believe it. Like I had to like take a step back and just say sheesh. And she said it. She was like, education seems to be the last on the totem pole. Because if what she bring it ain't needed, yeah, you don't know. And then Joyce says, the first thing you hear at a board meeting is that charters are taking resources away from the public schools. Yvonne says email, paper trails of questions. Send them what you know. And then this is one thing we're gonna come back to that. Yep, Shamise, Shelby County and Davidson County is low on the totem pole. You have to ask yourself why, right? That is a huge joke. Yep, Bordeaux. That's what I thought. And when you think about Bordeaux right now, yeah, that's so far from the truth that community doesn't need tutoring. When you look at Robert E. Lillard that was just closed, you look at some of the students who were coming to Buena Vista who now are going to Jones because it was closed. You look at Cumberland, you look at Jolton Middle, you look at Whites Creek. Like, yeah, like it's a joke, a huge joke. Davidson County is not known for giving Black women grants. There are some grants available, outside of the state. And so one of the things that I want to do in partnership, as we think about Shamice, and she has her online program like tutoring, like these are things that we need to plug people into. Another one of our partners, and again, the speaker series we got the campaign training next Tuesday, which we need all of our alum to show up because we're going to think about the possibility. But the Nashville Freedom School, which again, it took a break during COVID, but it's offering a literacy summer program for K-4 families at no cost. Enrollment is open for 2 locations. And so just be on the lookout. They reached out to us and we said that we would talk about that, but also really have them on at the end of the month as we get ready for the end of the school. And so I really look forward to that. And Rhea says 37208 has needed education program since I was in school. Yep, that was us at Hartman Park. Like we knew we needed it then. Like even when we reflect and go back to a lot of our friends, like we know it. Some kids in that community was, going to St. Pius, which was across the street, but the majority were right at Lillard and Cumberland and Jolton and Alex Green. And so, we know the struggle. We know the struggle. It's like you have to disconnect from the system to fight the system. Oh, yeah. It ain't no way you can make meaningful change against some systemic issues unless you know where you're going. You kind of know the inside of the system, but you on the outside. Like being inside, it's slow. The only thing they know is follow the line. But in order to really make the change that we need, you can't follow that line. Okay, so we getting somewhere. So we wanted to end right there today. And one, again, like the biggest plug is, and I hope the producer can put that in the comments so we can put it on the screen. So our campaign training is next Tuesday, 6:00. We have people like Miss Hooten, Miss Fuquay, our organizers, all come out and walk and talk with us. They brought their children, and it was beautiful. And that gave us the ability to plan something even bigger. But Torres, who was I forgetting? You know, one thing I don't want to forget about the people who took, you know, their time out on the weekend to help us out.
Um, Robert Thompson,
Yep.
Kia Lattimore, Renee
Yep.
Hoover, um, and somebody else. I can't think of the name. But yeah, we appreciate
So
y'all coming out there. So,
we really do. We really do. Because you can be anywhere in the world, but you know, we got to do the work that we know is important, not only for our kids, because again, like all of you guys are fully vested in, you know why this fight is important, but you know, reaching hearts and minds of others who got a million things going their way to just get them to like realize that once we get education right, you know, we can move on to things like, you know, housing and economic development and jobs. But the way this system works in the world, you know, education is the key. So, yep, there we go, producer. So, campaign training this upcoming Tuesday, May 17th at 6 p.m. Thank you guys for jumping on. Big shout out to Torvis for taking time during the day to jump on to be the co-host this week. Sonya should be back with me, but look to have some parents on. So if you have time and you want to talk about a specific topic in education, reach out, you know, and we'll get y'all through that. Tell about Tuesday again before you leave. This Tuesday at 6:00, we're going to be on Zoom. And so you guys know you'll be getting the link from your organizers from 6 to 7 p.m. We got the Freedom Summer coming up. And again, I ain't going to spoil them because we're going to do it on the speaker series. But the Freedom Summer is the ability to liberate a community just through sheer strategy, focus, and the results. You know, we got a lot of heart, and this summer is going to be the hard work to making sure kids are not like subjected to just piss poor schools year in and year out. So I am looking forward to it. And yep, Shamish is going to be online. We're going to make it easy. That's why we take an hour. We know it's family time. It can be dinner time, but this is the time where we spend 60 minutes of just digging in, first finding out like how everyone is doing, and then digging into the issues that we want to address. So we got this. Thank you guys. Torvis, you want to close us out with any last thoughts?
the last thought is get involved. So if you got a child in the school system, get involved. You got kids ready to come in the school system, get involved. If you better to know the information now, wait till later on. It's like being a friend before you need a friend. So just reach out to us and get involved with what's going on. And encourage your friends and family, nieces and nephews, parents, brothers and sisters. I mean, to be a movement, you have to have people. And to fight a system like this, you have to have a lot of people. So just get involved.
Amen. Amen. All right. With that, we thank you guys, and we will see you. I will say next Wednesday. We'll see you next Tuesday at 6:00.